breaking news. President Tinubu returns after attending COP28 in Dubai. Chief of Army Staff visits scene of misfired incident, pledges measures to forestall recurrence, just as Kaduna government pledges support to victims.
The unfortunate incident that happened on Sunday occurred as a result of error on the part of Nigerian Army personnel.
Also tonight, ex-soldier to die by hanging for murdering a cleric. Hello and a warm welcome to NTA Network News at 9. I'm Ian Ray John and we're live in Abuja. Adela Komiakere joins me from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has returned to Abuja this Tuesday evening after attending COP28 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. The president, who joined other world leaders, presented Nigeria's position on the global climate issues and sought cooperation to address challenges of climate change. He also secured some deals for Nigeria on the sidelines of the conference. Determined contributions into its budget and national planning policy. This is to ensure that adequate budgetary provision is made for climate mitigations. Charles Alpha reports.
Nationally determined contributions is one of the commitments countries made at COP15 in Paris. It shows how countries will contribute their quota to mitigating climate impact. COP28 has rated low these contributions by countries and is considering a new nationally determined contributions at COP29 to speed up action for maximum results. Nigeria has been rated far above other African countries in this regard. And what the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning is doing at COP28 is to fine-tune steps towards attracting funding.
There's a whole lot of industrial change that is required, technology, and the adaptation measures are huge and a lot of funding are required.
We feel that this conversation, the advocacy and this side event will definitely go a long way in mobilizing resources and even encouraging resource mobilization for climate mitigation and adaptation.
The takeaway is that players will have to play key roles in the implementation of climate actions and commitments to positively impact growth and development through effective planning and budgeting. From Dubai, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And away from COP28, President Bola Tinubu sympathizes with the families of victims, the people and government of Kaduna State over the bombing mishap in a village at Tudunbiri in Igabi local government area of the state. President Tinubu describes the incident as very unfortunate, disturbing and painful, expressing indignation and grief over the tragic loss of Nigerian lives. The president directs a thorough and full-fledged investigation into the incident and calls for calm while the authorities look diligently into the mishap. The president also directs swift and comprehensive medical attention for surviving victims while praying for the repose of the souls of the deceased. Similarly, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, has tendered an unreserved apology to the families and victims of the unfortunate incident on civilians at Tudunbiri community, Afaka Ward, Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. Visiting the mass burial grave of victims, the Army Chief observed a minute's silence and prayed for the repose of their souls, promising to work with the government to ameliorate the situation. The death and injury of the villagers occurred during a festive event when a combat drone reported to have opened fire in a case of missed target fire, later admitted by the Nigerian Army. Online reports had erroneously reported that the Nigerian Air Force was at fault until investigations by the Kaduna State government revealed otherwise. The district head of Rigasa, Aminu Idris, who received the Army Chief, confirmed the members of his community who died in the incident. Kaduna State government Away from the incident in Kaduna State now, making real the prospects of Nigeria's proposed 27.5 trillion naira appropriation and financial viability of the country beyond 2024 took center stage at a stakeholders retreat convened by the Senate Committee on Appropriations. National Assembly correspondent Lamiale reports that the theme of the retreat is budget and budgetary process delivering improved outcomes in 2024.
We think of the Nigerian people first, and we budget for the Nigerian people, and we make the laws that will favor the Nigerian people, and we collaborate with the current administration's determination to succeed. And our prayer is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will, just like he laid the foundation of success in Lagos, his foundation will start with this budget, and Nigeria will change for the better.
I think that's where we have to be brave, we have to be courageous, and we have to be innovative to make sure that we use the financial markets to take the stress, our fiscal stress down.
Call it a meeting of like minds. The difference in their calling as policymakers and lawmakers notwithstanding, the shared determination is to see Nigeria work.
We have a common goal, which is to drastically improve the socio-economic condition of our people in the shortest period with a budget of renewed hope.
The renewed hope budget is based on restoring macroeconomic stability so that we'll be able to attract investors. And that benefited from the bold and courageous measures that were taken so far to deal with fuel subsidy, to deal with exchange rate.
It is very important that we all work together to ensure that we return this budget as soon as possible so that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria can sign it into law by 31st of December of this year, and it can come into operation from 1st of January of 2024.
Professor Ayo Teriba, in delivering the keynote address, reflected the huge potentials of Nigeria, but that deriving optimal benefits demands a shift from tax revenue to non-tax revenue.
The budget provides a test case how much of those good things that we are hearing will be done.
We have decided to do our own to make this 2024 budget, which is the first for this government to succeed.
This synergy between the two arms of government is in the short term targeted at quick passage of the budget. Among chief executives that attended the retreat is the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Away from the National Assembly now, 2 members of the Boko Haram terrorist organization have been sentenced to various terms of imprisonment over their involvement in terrorism in the northeast. Olabode Arewa reports that the Federal High Court, Abuja, also handed down imprisonment for 2 of their collaborators.
The prosecution of the convicts followed allegations as suspected Boko Haram members. The 5 suspects were arraigned by the Federal Ministry of Justice before Justice Binta Muritala Yako. 20-year-old Abacha Mustafa was arraigned on 4 counts of belonging to Boko Haram and participating in their activities. Pleading guilty to only 1 of the charges, he was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, while young Musa Manu, who was convicted of knowingly receiving terrorism training used to unleash terror on villages and military troops, he was also sentenced to 10 years and 5 years imprisonment to run concurrently. Malam Ali Shetima of Baga in Borno State, who also got on the wrong arm of the law, received a 10-year correctional sentence for providing logistics support to terrorists. On the other hand, reprieve came the way of Abacha Mustafa's father, Bukar Mohammed, as he was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment for providing material support to his Boko Haram son. His sentence commenced from June 2016 when he was arrested by army troops. In arraigning them, the prosecution had told the court that the charges were in violation of Section 13 of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Whenever a person is found guilty by the law of committing a crime against an individual or society, such convict normally undergoes punishment. But the extent of the sanction is usually influenced by mitigating circumstances. Stakeholders in the criminal justice sector are meeting in Abuja to fine-tune the sentencing guidelines on non-custodial measures for those adjudged as guilty.
Converged on this all are judges, magistrates, prosecutors, and correctional officers. They are reviewing progress made in the implementation of non-custodial measures and the sentencing guidelines introduced under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015. These guidelines, which are to give a human face to the cause of justice, include community service as punishment for the convict, payment of fines, and the forfeiture of assets, among other punitive measures. This meeting in Abuja is addressing the grey areas observed in the non-custodial sentencing scheme.
The purpose of non-custodial measures is to find effective alternatives to imprisonment for offenders. This is in accordance with the current global shift in punishing convicts with alternatives to prison terms.
The non-custodial measures seek to initiate reformation for the victim, for the defendant, and for the states.
It's more important because it will now reduce the number of inmates that one will fix in the prison yard.
It has helped the government to save money because we have people now doing community service.
The initiative has been particularly beneficial in protecting children from the negative effects of infractions negligently committed by them. In Abuja, Olabode, NTA News.
Yobe State High Court sitting in Port Hiscom has sentenced the dismissed soldier Lance Corporal John Gabriel to death by hanging and Lance Corporal Adamu Gideon to 10 years imprisonment at the Nigerian Correctional Service. Justice Usman Zana Muhammad, who handed down the verdict, convicted Mr. Gabriel with Nigerian Army attached to 241 Resi Battalion, Nguru, and Mr. Gideon after he found them guilty of the offences of murder and conspiracy, respectively. Delivering the judgment, Justice Muhammad held that after a careful consideration of facts before the court and the failure of the defendants to provide essential witnesses to corroborate their claim, sentenced the two convicts in line with the provisions of the law. Lance Corporal John Gabriel was suspected to have brutally murdered a prominent Islamic scholar based in Gashua, Sheikh Goni Aisami, in Karashua local government area of Yobe State, by whom he gave a lift on his way to Gashua from Kano on the 22nd of August 2022. Yobe State government, through the Ministry of Justice, had taken the case to court, leading to the judgment. Still looking at other court-related issues, the Supreme Court has dismissed an application filed by Emeka Ihedioha of the People's Democratic Party, which sought the removal of Governor Hope Uzodinma from office. Omenka Amarachuku completes the report. That report will come in the course of the bulletin. But for now, let's take a break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Office of the Vice President has reacted to the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Peter Obi's statement on the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. The spokesman to the Vice President, Stanley Nwocha, describes Peter Obi's accusation of federal government of sponsoring more than 1,400 delegates to Dubai for the COP28 and construction of the vice presidential residence by the Federal Capital Territory Administration as another frail and futile attempt to paint government in a bad light. He says the proposed plan for construction of the Vice President's official residence, for which budgetary allocation was made in the 2024 budget by the FCT administration, was awarded by the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan. Okacha says the issue of a befitting residence for the vice president had been in the budget of Nigeria since 2007, just like the residences of the Senate president and the speaker. The current administration, he says, makes it a priority to complete all abandoned projects before new ones are initiated, except on some exceptional basis. It advised Peter Obi and the opposition to put the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians first as patriotic citizens they claim to be. Meanwhile, the federal government has given a nod to the adoption of a non-kinetic approach to tackling insecurity in the southeast region of the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he received a delegation led by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, on a courtesy visit to the presidential villa. The delegation, under the auspices of Peace and Southeast Project, visited the Vice President to present the initiative and invite him for the launch of the project that proposes a non-kinetic solution to the crisis in the Southeast region. The Vice President endorsed the concept, noting that the approach is timely in addressing the security situation in the Southeast, saying it would save the region from endless war. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, reiterated the call for a non-kinetic approach to addressing the security challenges facing the Southeast region. Kalu expressed optimism that the Peace in Southeast project could bring hope to the region, similar to how other parts of the country have seen improvement. The Deputy Speaker emphasized the need for initiatives that foster a sense of belonging and inclusion, even as he acknowledged the government's limitations and stressed the importance of collaborating with development partners under the Peace in Southeast project. And back to Kaduna State now. Kaduna State government has pledged to support the families of the victims of misfire at Tudumbiri village in Igabi local government area of the state. State Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabe stated this when she led a delegation to condole with the community. Haruna Mohammed reports.
This is Tudumbiri community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. The scene where the Sunday attack took place that led to the loss of lives of so many. And worried by this, the Kaduna State government sent in a high-powered delegation led by the Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabe Sabwa to condole with the community with a promise that this will not repeat itself again. Anguish, grief, and tears dominated the air, having lost their loved ones in the misfire. Kaduna State Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabe Sabwa, who led the delegation to the community, described the incident as an unfortunate one. She said the state government will do all it can to support the families.
We have constituted a committee made up of very eminent religious leaders and traditional leaders within Kaduna State and also very senior government officials. We pray that Allah in His grace will continue to protect us and that this incident by His grace will never happen again in the life of Kaduna State and the country at large. Please.
We pray to Almighty Allah to grant them Al-Jannatul Firdaus.
Tudumbiri community have been in existence for over a century, comprising of both Muslims and Christians cohabiting peacefully until the unfortunate incidents. From Tudumbiri community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State, I am Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Many thanks, Haruna. May your souls rest in peace. Now, heading back to the courtroom, the Supreme Court has dismissed an application filed by Emeka Ihedioha of the People's Democratic Party, which sought the removal of Governor Hope Uzodinma from office. Omenka Amarachuku has the details.
Appeal was initially filed before the Apex Court by Uchenwusu, who was the governorship candidate of Action Alliance in the 2019 general election. However, the People's Democratic Party PDP's Emeka Ihedioha, whom INEC declared as winner of the election, applied to be joined as interest party. Specifically, both the PDP and Uzodinma had prayed the Supreme Court to give effect to its verdict that disqualified Musu on the grounds that he was nominated by both AA and APC. In a ruling on the matter, the Apex Court held that it had no jurisdiction to entertain the appeal, which it described as frivolous.
Let them come, all of us will put hands together to move him forward. The Supreme Court knows best. I cannot challenge or question their superiority of knowledge and of experience.
The case, which stayed over 3 years in the docket of the Apex Court, was initially fixed for hearing in October, but was later deferred till after the recent governorship election in the state that led to Hope Uzodinma's re-election. In Abuja, Umenka Machku, NTA News.
Looking at other issues now, researchers have discovered that fermented foods such as ogi, the traditional Nigerian food made from fermented corn, can help to reduce the risk of foodborne illnesses. This is because the fermentation process creates an environment that is hostile to harmful microorganisms and allows beneficial bacteria known as lactic acid to thrive. Professor Regina Ohehe said this at a 104th inaugural lecture of Ambrose Ali University, Ekwuma. Rosemary Ibrahim has the details.
The invisible world of microbes is an important and often overlooked part of our daily lives. Without the work of these tiny organisms, many of the foods we eat and the medicine we take will not exist. In addition to their role in food production, microbes also play an essential role in the environment, helping to cycle nutrients and decompose organic matter. Professor Regina Ohehe of the Industrial Microbiology Department of the University, whose lecture centered on microbes, your inevitable partners. She recommends that ogi, the corn pap, should be on the menu list of families because of its enormous health benefits.
Using an established method in traditional fermentation technology, corn bark sloping was achieved. Results show that the different methods of production of the ogi effected various degrees of changes in the microbiological, physicochemical, and organoleptic quality of ogi.
The Vice Chancellor of the university commended the inaugural lecturer for a well-researched topic.
Microbes are vital to agriculture through their roles in maintaining soil fertility and in decomposing organic matter.
I say that the lecture today was very enlightening, it was very relatable, and it has pieces of information that will be useful to anybody who sat through that lecture.
We used to think that microbes are enemies, but today they made us to understand that microbes are really our friends.
Professor Regina Ohehe obtained her bachelor's degree, BSc, in microbiology in 1991 from Bedford State University with a second-class upper division. She joined the services of Ambrose Ali University as a graduate assistant in 1993 and was promoted to the rank of professor in 2017. In Ambrose Ali University, Rosemary Ibrahim, NTA News.
The National Chairman of the Governing All Progressives Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has urged state organizing secretaries of the APC to close ranks in strengthening structures of the party across all levels. The chairman was speaking when he received an audience forum of state organizing secretaries at the party's National Secretariat, Abuja. Ganduje says the party is introducing reforms in all facets as it looks forward to off-cycle elections in 2024 and other future polls in the country.
Electronic registration of our members has already started so that you, as organizers, you know precisely who are real members. If one person pays, whatever percentage comes to account. The percentage belonging to the state goes to the state. Jackie, they want baboon, they chop. No, this baboon doesn't want to chop.
The forum congratulated the chairman for providing exemplary leadership since assumption of office and promised to rally crowned his administration for unity, progress and stability of the party. It's time to get to Lagos. Adela is there. Adela, what's the latest?
Thank you, Iyere. Convinced of projections to rejuvenate the nation's ailing economy, the federal government, through the Apex Bank, has called for bank recapitalization, which will serve as a strong revival vehicle for the economy. In the special report, Larry Belei takes a look at the recapitalization process and the $1 trillion projected economy.
Bank recapitalization is a government initiative to provide new capital to public sector banks with higher liabilities than assets. It is also a reform in the banking sector that increases the amount of long-term finances used by the bank. With the federal government's announcement of its intention to revive the Nigerian economy with $1 trillion for 7 years, banks that must be a major player in this economic vision must have the financial wherewithal to be part of its successful implementation.
Technically, recapitalization can be in two forms. Either you increase your equity or you increase your debt. But banks are always encouraged to increase equity more than debt because of the risk involved. So now the CBN is saying, shore up your capital so that you'll be able to have that financial muscle to play your role as a financial development.
Recapitalization of the banks is expected to first quench the thirst of economic stability that is the desire of every business, improve investors' confidence within and outside the country, and expand financing of MSMEs from the accrued benefits which help strengthen the banking sector and increase financial systems.
Nigerian GDP as of 2021, stood at $440.3 billion. In 2021, then in 2022, we grew it to $477.93 billion. Now, in the next 7 years, the government said, I want to move this GDP growth to $1 trillion economy. In order for us to be able to do this, the financial system has to be strengthened, because we need the banking system that will be able to support that GDP growth that we are aspiring to achieve.
Economists caution, however, that the recapitalization process should be a continuous development as long as the goal is to achieve a $1 trillion economy in the next 7 years. In Lagos, Larry Belei, NTA News.
As the President Tinubu-led administration seeks ways to revive the nation's economy, create jobs, and provide an enabling environment for investment, one major area that should be considered for sustainable growth, experts say, is the courier and logistics subsector. Correspondent examines available opportunities in logistics and supply chain ecosystem and the need to develop infrastructure to promote ease of doing business.
Data by the International Trade Administration shows that in 2020, Nigeria was ranked 110 out of 190 countries in the Logistics Performance Index.
It's not less than 10 trillion naira worth of assets. And that is an industry that has the capacity to create millions and millions of employment opportunities.
The country's freight and logistics market size, according to Statista, stands at $14.42 billion in 2023 and is expected to reach $20.58 billion by 2029.
We have a formidable regulatory guideline.
This gathering therefore identified deficits in infrastructure, poor implementation of policies, and unstable power supply as some of the challenges militating against the growth of the industry.
It will not be out of place for this government to create a ministry to take care of courier and logistic services, to consequently also be able to coordinate all infrastructures relating to courier and logistic services.
There should be a concerted effort to get these roads built on any PPP basis, such that the roads can be tolled.
With the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfTA, Nigeria now has free access to the entire African market, which will impact the logistics sector in the future. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
We are done from Lagos for now. We'll take a break, and when we return, Benny Adams will bring some more business news for us to stay.
Good to know you're still here, and it's that time to talk business. Start by telling you that with social investment having a good chunk of the proposed 2024 budget, development partners are supporting Nigerian tech hubs who are developing digital solutions for humanitarian aid transfer. The solution tracks spending of aid monies, and plans are underway to extend to other areas of public spending to aid transparency.
Aid distribution transparency is key, and apart from that, transparency is to even give confidence to donors, right, across both locally and international donors. The absence of electricity push people to create solutions where they don't need the electricity, for example. The absence of funding make people also think about ways.
Look at the energy market. Oil prices were little changed on Tuesday amid uncertainty over voluntary output cuts by OPEC+. Continued tension in the Middle East and weak economic data from the U.S. Brent crude futures ticked down 1% to $78.02 a barrel in early trade, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 5 cents at $73.09 a barrel. Market analysts say comments by Saudi Arabia's energy minister that OPEC Plus production cuts could continue past the first quarter of 2024 if needed lends some support to the market. And now, Nigerian equities got back on winning ways as the all-share index appreciated by 0.43%. A total of 433.5 million shares in 7,016 deals, corresponding to a market value of 11.114 billion, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 21% improvement in volume, 53% improvement in deals, and 9% improvement in deals, as well as 9% improvement in turnover. The current market capitalization is 39 trillion naira. USC Nigeria recorded the highest volume of 61.7 million traded shares, followed by United Bank for Africa 58.3 million and Guarantee Trust holding 23 million. That is Business News. Network News continues with Nyere. It's nice doing business with you.
Many thanks, Benny. Always a delight to have you on Business News. Now, let's continue with the news. The Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GABA, says it will continue to collaborate with countries within and outside the sub-region to fight corruption. The Director General of GABA, Edwin Harris, reaffirmed the group's anti-graft stance at the annual information session for ambassadors of member states and technical and financial partners in Dakar, Senegal. Daily.
Available statistics have shown that illicit financial activities are responsible for the slow pace of development in Africa and some parts of the world. Money laundering and terrorism financing are issues that have attracted global attention. As one of the ways of combating financial crimes in West Africa, the heads of government in the sub-region established GABA. The Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa is an arm of ECOWAS that specializes in strengthening the capacity of member states towards the prevention and control of money laundering and terrorist financing in the sub-region. This annual information section for ambassadors of member states, financial and technical partners is an opportunity for GABA to present its scorecard for the previous year.
GABA also built capacity and enhance competent authorities and other critical agencies involved in the implementation of anti-money laundering laws and policy through training, mentorship, provision of equipment.
To prevent criminally minded individuals from exploiting our economies, to perpetrate their heinous crime, we must ensure that money laundering and terrorist financing and all predicate offences are adequately criminalized, and efforts are put in place to strengthen these efforts.
The occasion also witnessed the launch of Diaba's new website. From Dakar, the capital of Senegal, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Let's take a quick break. Please stay. Welcome back. As the year winds down, ushering in the Yuletide season, many motorists engage in overspeeding in a bid to maximize profit following the high number of commuters, thus cashing in on heightened seasonal activities. In the course of this, many motorists are involved in crashes and sometimes deaths. But the Federal Road Safety Corps, in its bid to nip this in the bud, is advising road users to adhere to road signs and avoid unnecessary speed when plying the roads. Emediong Umo completes the report.
The Yuletide is a season usually accompanied with lots of activities, from visits of people to family and friends, and vice versa, in line with traditions associated with the season. To heighten social and religious activities, Christmas for many is one of the most celebrated Christian festivals where people travel a lot. However, during this period, casualties have been known to occur largely due to recklessness on the road by motorists. However, drivers on their part, having this knowledge of applying caution while on the road, speak on precautionary measures to ensure the reduction of road crashes always.
No overloading. While on the road, no overspeeding. The movement should be very, very okay.
I'll check my motor, tires and engine and everything, whether it is all right before I move.
The Federal Road Safety says it will continue to sensitize motorists and road users on the effective use of the road to avoid crashes.
The road is not a personal property, so it's for the usage of every members of the public, so it should be shared. And this, if this is done, that it will go a long way in ensuring that calmness is on the road.
It is believed that every road user will adhere to road signs and regulations to avoid a soil test this Christmas and even after the season. In Uyo, Emediong Umo, NTA News.
The remains of late Muhammad Sabiu Umar has been laid to rest according to Islamic rites at the Taurani Cemetery in Kano. Muhammad Ibrahim, who attended the funeral prayer, files in this report.
The funeral prayer at the Kano Central Mosque was attended by hundreds of people from within and outside Kano State, including Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf and the Emir of Bichi Nasser Adu Bayero, among other dignitaries. During his lifetime, the deceased held many positions, including the Managing Director, Kano Capital Insurance Company Limited, and Chairman, Kano Jigawa Alumni Association of National Institute. Late Muhammad Sabiu Umar was described as a man of integrity, honesty, and a patriotic Nigerian.
Alhaji Muhammad Sabiu Umar MNI was a fine gentleman,
was a very nice person, and a very honest person.
He is survived by a wife, many children and grandchildren, among them Abdul Jabbar Muhammad Umar, Director General, Khan Invest. Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
Let's now take a beat on sports as Nigeria beat Cape Verde and picks Women Africa Cup of Nations ticket. Olumide Eguntola has more.
The Super Falcons of Nigeria cruised into the 2024 Nations Cup finals in grand style with a 7-1 goal aggregate scoreline in Cape Verde Tuesday night. The Falcons won the second leg 2-1. In badminton, the Badminton Federation of Nigeria says the quality of players in the country ahead of the African Games next year in Ghana gives hope of more medals. President of the Federation revealed this at the finals of the 4th National Championship that saw Africa's men's champion, Anu Oluwapo Okpeyori, retained his title after defeating Victor Ikechukwu of Rivers State 2-1.
It's going to be a matter of trying to select the best because we have a crop of good players we can select from. So we are going to make sure that the process is thorough and very fair.
In volleyball, Nigeria's under-17 volleyball female team will face their counterpart from Cameroon on Wednesday at the ongoing 2023 Under-17 Girls Championship in Abuja. Hamad Zango reports that the winner of the encounter will face Egypt in the final.
I think they are growing. This is a new team, and I can see that quite a lot of them will be traveling out of Nigeria for professional volleyball.
In boxing, Nigeria's Mary Abbey, World Boxing Federation WBF champion, added another belt to her kitty when she defeated her Tanzanian opponent Lulu Kayage via unanimous decision at the Briar Ayunete Boxing Hall of the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. It was the Super Flyweight International Challenge bout of the Lagos Boxing Initiative, tagged Big Boxing Bout, sanctioned by Nigeria Boxing Board of Control.
I'm not tired because I train hardly, so the strength is there, the experience is there.
We are trying to at least bring back our boxing to the global heights where everybody all over the world will appreciate us and know that we have good boxers here in Nigeria.
Most of the other bouts of the night recorded technical knockouts. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
With sports done, let's now take a quick peep at the weather outlook for Wednesday.
We expect for Wednesday, we still have the dry northeasterly winds dominating the north and most parts of the central cities. We expect patches of cloud with lots of sunshine across cities in the southern region. Lagos is expected to be busy with some morning thunderstorms and possibly have an afternoon thunderstorm as well, while parts of Delta, Bayelsa, Cross River, Akwa Ibom and parts of Edo, Ondo also having a fair share of thunderstorms. As for part of the north and the north central, it should remain sunny, dry and hazy, with temperatures dropping at night. Let's have a look. I am Akami Samarra. Thank you for watching.
Many thanks, Amada, for the weather update. And of course, that concludes NTA Network News tonight. Many thanks for investing your time with us. Do enjoy your night.